Hey everybody, welcome to Glory Hunters, my little football, soccer passion project. And I got some of the best guys I know to get me through the games. We cover just about everything, all the big stories, some of the funnier stuff. And do watch-alongs, and we're looking for content creator to help along with this project. Without further ado, I'd like to introduce Glory Hunter Nick, the guy who helps me along, teaching me everything about the pro game. I'm learning the lower league game, I'm learning the kids game with my own son, and he teaches me the history and all that other stuff. And that being said, let's get right into it because we had some excellent games this week, crazy rivalries all around Europe. We had Champions League this week, and a completely bizarre incident that really, as an American, is totally foreign to me, but I think in fairness, the Fenerbahce situation is unique. We'll get to that at the end. But first, I want to start off with the big stories, of course. Two great games in Champions League. We'll go over Arsenal, Bayern Munich first leg. 2-2, penalty by Kane, Garnby, and Saka and Tossard. What was your overall feelings about this game? This would have been the game of the night on any other circumstance, but we'll get to the big one, the real big one after this. What were your feelings about this?
It was a pretty good game in itself. You obviously got the controversies there with the two potential penalties that weren't given. That's obviously taken over the narrative of the game so far. But, 2-2 is a good result for Bayern more than I think it is for Arsenal, as Arsenal were at home. But, Bayern definitely aren't exactly invincible at home anyway. So the game's definitely still in either of their hands. 2-2. Neither are going to be really disappointed after that.
So what are we looking at right here? This is obviously an error. Goalie passes, and to the who is that right there?
It's Gabriel.
It's Gabriel. So he thinks he's in practice and just kind of sets it up for the keeper. Hopes he didn't get caught. Now the refs didn't see this because that's a red card. That's a straight red, and a penalty. Like, what do you think happened here? What do you think went wrong?
I don't know. I think Gabriel must have had the idea that he was going to take the goal kick. Must have been something they've spoken about before. Just different wavelengths where Rayo was actually taking the kick, playing it to the side to him, and for some reason in his head he's thinking he's taking it. But and also to just quickly touch on the referees, they didn't give it. I think that might have just been a very rare case of them sort of just using common sense and just being like, all right, that's not them actually playing it. Like, he's meant to be taking the goal kick here rather than...
Yeah, but you can't kick the ball. If you're going to do that, you got to throw the ball over to him. You can't kick the ball. Once the goalie kicks the ball, that ball's in play. I've seen that happen. Actually, what kind of got me back into football was an incident with that striker that Nielsen that's on St. Louis now. He was playing for Wiesbaden at the time, and the goalie rolled the ball out in front of him. Chucked it. Actually, he threw it out in front of him. The other striker screams at Nielsen, and he buries it top corner right after that. I think Tuchel's got every right to be ticked off. The referee made a huge mistake. I know it's a crazy situation. They put the ball down. He whistles, and the defender takes the ball in his hands. What makes us really angry is the explanation on the pitch. He told our players it was a kid's mistake, and he won't give the penalty in that Champions League quarterfinal. That's bullshit, and I'm on Turkel's side. That's correct. Oh, I'm sorry. It's a kid's mistake. All right, so all kids' mistakes in the future would just be looked the other way? Well, what kind of thing is that to say? Wait, referee really dropped the ball there. Did you know that?
I haven't heard that actually, which changes my... you can't be like, oh, well, that's a dumb mistake, we're not going to give it. It's either you're like, that's what's actually playing, they're giving it to Gabriel to take the goal kick, and that's how you've interpreted it, or you're like, okay, they've made the mistake, but that is a handball. You can't be like, oh, that's a mistake, I'm just going to overlook it because it's a dumb one. Yeah. Dumb or not, mistake's a mistake, right? Rules are rules.
Yeah, rules are rules. So, that finishes up that way. I just want to talk about, it looks like Leverkusen's far and away. They're winning the league. If for some reason Bayern loses this weekend to Cologne and the Leverkusen wins, which is no reason to think they won't, that's it. That's a wrap for the league, at least for the title. I guess I want to ask you is, if you don't have a team in the Champions League right now, are Englishmen pulling for Kane? Are they going to bars? Are they rooting for Bayern, which has got to be a bizarre thing to begin with? Or maybe they're just privately rooting for Kane because it's a big deal. Kane, no Pokal, no league, which is considered a guarantee when he went over there. But Champions League's probably their last shot, and it's not like you said before, Bayern's not firing on all cylinders by any stretch. How do you see how does the average Englishman see this situation? Are they pulling or not pulling for him?
That's a hard one to answer, really. I think it comes down sort of who do you support, right? Arsenal fans, maybe Chelsea fans, Spurs rivals probably aren't the biggest aren't the biggest Kane fans, and so they're probably not pulling for Kane at all, to be fair. And then you get like the weird guys who just like to see an English team do well, even if it's one of their rivals. But outside of that, Harry Kane's a very popular figure over here.
But I mean, Harry Kane's also the captain of England. They must root for him then. He's not in the Prem fold right now. I don't understand. This is a weird thing to me. Like I everybody thinks that he's been one of the best players, if not the best player in the Prem for the last 10 years. Why not pull for him? Like, why not? Like, I don't get it. He's still the English captain, and he's not in the Prem. What's wrong with you guys?
Well, I am, but then
and you're a Chelsea fan, and you're a Chelsea guy.
I am, but I'm a big Kane fan, so I'm probably a bit biased there. But yeah, I reckon there's probably plenty of Englishmen who want to see Kane do well, and as a bonus, that means he's probably going to beat out one of the teams they don't like from England. So,
do you think there'll be bars popping and bopping, cheering down in London, or even anywhere in England? Like, will people be? Will the game be on, and we'll get shouts and screams if Kane scores? That kind of situation, or no? It's going to be kept private.
That's hard to imagine that happening.
Really, I like to see that.
It's a German team, that kind of sours it a bit.
It was Harry Kane. It's Harry Kane. I mean, jeez. I mean, I can't. I mean, I'm a huge Pulisic fan. It's not like I'm a big AC Milan fan. Certainly, be pulling for him. Even if he was a rival, he'd have to be a hated rival. And Kane is not very hateable, even when he just owned. He just owned your face. Back in the day. I mean, it's not like he never taunted the crowd. He never acted disrespectfully. He's kind of like the English equivalent of kind of a good old boy, if you ask me. I don't know. I'd pull for Kane. That's kind of weird that people don't. Let's get right into 3-3 first leg. United, Real Madrid. I hate the expression, the beautiful game. It's not that beautiful. Just the grass is beautiful. I don't know. What's beautiful about it? It's a bunch of guys. It's like it's sometimes it's total chaos. But this was a beautiful game. Huge goals from Billy Foden, who I'm falling in love with. He's becoming one of my favorite players. Silva, Diaz, and some contributions from, if I'm not going to say this name correctly, these aren't the usual goal scorers for Los Blancos. Rydigo and Velarde. You don't usually get contributions like that, correct? From those guys.
Rodrigo has some good numbers, to be fair to him. But yeah, Valverde is less of a goal scorer. He got the assist in the Champions League final when they won it 2 years ago, I believe it was. 2 years ago, yeah. That's when Karim Benzema was on the team, and I think that was his. Yes. That was his Ballon d'Or year. Okay. Yeah, it was Valverde who played the cross to Vinicius for the winner. The thing that scares me, if I'm one of those rare Englishmen that's going to root for Kane and Bayern, and shout and scream at a bar, the thing that scares me is both these teams look much better than both the teams on the other side. Would you agree with me on that? I wouldn't want to play either one of those teams. I mean, they looked class, and they are the class of Europe. It's actually too bad they're playing each other in this round. I'd much rather seen. I'd like to see a semifinal here with these two teams. Not so. I feel like it's too early. Luck of the draw, or an unluck of the draw, for that matter. Yeah, or even a final. Like, this is such a great matchup because you have the history of last year. Obviously, Manchester City knocked out Real Madrid. They've had some other matchups before that in the Champions League, and they just are two of the best teams around. There's so much quality on both of those teams, especially when you look at it just on paper. Like, some of the biggest names football has play for these two. They both play exciting football. that yeah, it's a fantastic matchup, and it is a kind of a shame that both teams, well, one of these teams is going to be out at this stage of the competition. But yeah, I would not want to play either of these if I'm
No,
any of the
absolutely
teams
not.
left.
I mean, look at these guys: Rudiger, Cruz, Bellingham. You know, I mean, that's off the top of my head. I mean, everybody on City, Haaland, Foden, Silva.
Mm,
It's Stones. That's your guy, right?
love him.
Yeah, John Stones. You know, this is a heck of a team. Didn't seem to be too affected by losing Gerdogan, which I thought would have a lot more effect. And you know, Mr. De Bruyne didn't even he wasn't in the starting lineup. Did you hear the reason why he wasn't in the starting lineup? By the way, why De Bruyne wasn't in there?
It was illness.
Illness.
Apparently, he was sick in the changing rooms before the game,
That's
so they were like, "Yeah,
All right.
can't play him."
Okay, let's get into some other lower league action. Wrexham only has about 3 games to go. They're in an automatic promotion spot. Of course, this is a huge story with Deadpool and McElhenney buying this team. They got him out of the Federal League. Look at you. I love doing this to you. I got to be honest with you. And because our friend here is a lower league guy. Probably you feel like you're more of a Braintree guy now than the Chelsea guy, correct?
Yeah, these days.
But how is this bad for Braintree? How is this? This is good for lower league football all around. I mean, this is the result of people realizing I don't have to spend like $100 a ticket and get a good game or be part of something exciting. If basically they could win it's up to Stockport at this point to lose the title, and if Wrexham wins it straight through, they look like they're automatically through. They almost have to be a collapse at this point. What's the feeling around the UK about Wrexham getting promoted 2 years in a row?
I don't know. To be fair, like Wrexham's not a thing that, like in my circles, that a lot of people talk about. So I'm not sure whether people are happy or sad or mad about it. But me personally, I just don't like Wrexham.
Why? Is it Welsh? Are you bigoted towards Welshmen or something like that? I mean, don't you like
No,
Gareth
it's
Bale?
nothing to do. It's to do with the ownership, not the
What was
Welsh,
what's wrong with the ownership? I mean, that couldn't be good. Well, why couldn't it be my team? Is that it?
Well, but yeah, that probably plays part of it. Jealousy part of it. And then there's also just like the hipster within me that hates how popular they are. So it's like I just want to see them fail just because they're so popular.
Oh, okay. So all right, at least you're being honest. I don't know. I think it's been if I have to make a sort of, I think the reason this team has been so successful, American ownership has been pretty piss poor, and I would agree with you when it comes especially to big teams. But I think because these guys weren't football businessmen, for lack of a better word, and maybe not for the case, they allowed the football men to run the football team, and they fund it and hire and fire people if they see fit, and who's getting results and who isn't, which is really upper management's job anyway. I think you got to give these guys a little credit. I think if you had owners like this in Chelsea, in Man U, I think you'd have a lot more success over there. I don't know if they'd ever kind of fell off like they did because they let the football men, and I'm seeing this in Germany as well, where people become sporting directors of clubs because it's like their turn, and now you're seeing all these big clubs in second league in the Bundesliga. So I really, you couldn't have I don't think they could have gotten luckier with not only guys with tons of money, a billionaire buying the club, but a sort of a wise working class attitude when it comes to managing a team, rather than I am the president of Wrexham or some kind of attitude like that. Well, I was waiting in the wings for so long to become sporting director. Not that you earned it; it's just you hung around long enough to get it. These guys, they want to win. They have a good relationship with the players, a good relationship with the fans, and there's a scene in the Wrexham TV show, which all comes with, where they kind of look at each other. Let's face it, they got into it because it was a toy. It was an expensive toy, and they realized, oh, the entire town's economy runs through this sports operation. We can't screw this up because we go away but looking like a bunch of spoiled, rotten American rich men. And they didn't do that. And I think that's especially McElhenney. a fellow Irish American. I mean, I think he looked like he reminds me of a typical sort of down to earth working class sports fan. And he goes, let the football people run, let the baseball people run baseball, let the football people run football. And I think that's really, they got to even listen to the fans that got Mullen. This has been, uphill no matter what. I don't see the bad side other than jealousy. Give me the bad side.
Oh, there's probably not a bad side.
Okay.
I never said my hate was rational.
Okay, I'm just checking. If you can see, once a man admits his sins, I think that's it. Go Wrexham. I hope you guys. I think it's good for everything. I think it's good for football in the States. I know a lot of people are watching the TV show, and even The Rock has thought about buying a team. I don't think he would do as well. But it's fantastic to watch like this thing, between iShow Speed promoting the game, Messi coming to the States, and this. I think in the next 10, 20 years, football in the States is just going to be, or soccer in the States is going to be insane. Speaking of soccer in the States, Sergio Ramos, the greatest defenders in the last generation, you said. Look at it. He's been in the States talking to several MLS clubs. Ramos, Lewandowski, who else? Olivier Giroud. Boy, is this the Messi effect, or is this just great players are about to start retiring now, or go into a different part of their career?
It's probably a bit of both. These are older players probably retiring soon, but at the same time, as we've seen a lot of players go to Saudi Arabia, like sort of pave the way because Ronaldo went there initially. Mm-hmm. Yeah, obviously there's the big money, but Ronaldo going there first definitely would have had an impact. So yeah, Messi going into Miami, sort of bringing it into fashion a bit, I suppose, probably helping.
Also, I want to point out, and I think I might stream it. I'm going to get up at 4:30 in the morning. I'll show you this right here. Yeah, I'm thinking about it. Wait a minute. That's tomorrow. Wait a minute. Where's my where? Oh, there it is. Monterrey, Liga MX team up 2-1. They do have a away goals rule here, folks. That means if there's a tie for you Americans, whoever has the most away goals breaks the tie, and that team goes through in the second leg. 4:30 in the morning, my time, is the Inter Miami Monterrey. Messi should be in the lineup. He was not in the first game. This would be really interesting because, a lot of us thought that Tata Martino was less concerned about MLS because, the good first top 9 teams make the playoffs. And we're going for this, but it looks like Messi actually is coming off a serious knock. He contributed they pulled a draw this weekend on MLS, but this all of a sudden becomes a very big game. I think to promote MLS and probably to promote Champions Cup. But I think if Messi wins, we've talked before about Americans not understanding that a soccer club or football club is a multi-competition team, and I think a lot of Americans don't get their heads around that because some of these they don't draw very well, which is insane because the continental game is at actually a higher level than Liga MX or MLS. I mean, that's the next level. Of course, it's old hat here in Europe as far as Champions League, Europa, and Conference. I think this is a bigger game than most people think. And I think I have to admit, I'm really rooting for Miami because I think if they win the Champions League and he pulls another trophy like he did with Leagues Cup, I think it's huge. Not even what's good for the States is good for the world. And the reason I think that is because that means more money comes into football. And they've never really tapped football financially well enough in the States, and I think with people like Speed, he's delivering it to a new audience, maybe more of a working class audience, and that's what's missing. There's too many freaking soccer moms and college types in football. We need, I think, a little more diversity in the economic background of football. And I think the Americans will dominate, and I think more money will flood into Europe as well as people buy leagues. Do you agree? Disagree?
Yeah, definitely. The US is the most commercial country in the world, right? So the more interest there is a huge market. There's so many people in the US and so much media there that Yeah, definitely.
I
You
think.
bring that into the football world, that is going to be so many more eyes to watch the game, so many more fans buying merch,
Yeah,
fund like for clubs all across the world, because they're not just going to be MLS fans, they're going to be supporting teams in Italy and England and watching the
mhm,
Champions League, because that's where the main competition is
sure,
anyway.
that's a
So
big
it's
one.
definitely a good thing for football if they can bring the US
The bad thing
into
about
it.
it, the bad thing about it is, the sort of the Super League mentality. Let's make this like American sports. Let's make close leagues and things like that. Because from what I understand, I watched this video. I think it was on. I was just a YouTube video, but basically, American banks that are funding a lot of the stuff that's going on in Europe see football is not even in Europe like untapped. It's not we're not getting the most out of it. But I think that, and that's probably why they want a super league or something like that. But the Americans that come into, and this is the real, I think, difference between what you see in Wrexham and what you see in United. Um, they're looking to win, where the people in United are looking to make money, which is fine, but you cannot trample the culture of pro rel and do that. You'll change football over here, and you end up losing money in the long haul. So I think that's a fear with a lot of Europeans, and I think it's a legitimate fear. The American money is good, but American influence isn't good because they're going to look at through it to the spectrum of Major League Baseball, the NBA, and the NFL, and that means closed league. And traveling is so important here. When you travel to other people's clubs, it's such a big deal. I don't think you get that. We can't do that in the States because how big the country is. But in a place like England or Germany, or even Italy for that matter, you can go to rival stadiums, and it's the most one of the most important things. Whereas if you were to go to, let's say you're a Red Bulls fan and you're going to LA, that's a vacation. That's like, let's go to LA and take in the game and see our team. That's a big thing. So, all right, what else we got? My God, we saw this live and didn't see it coming. I like to do the classic sort of. I love doing watch alongs on the channel. I love to do the sort of the classic old school hardcore derbies. You see if something crazy happens in the stands. Fenerbahce versus Galatasaray. Few rivalries get as insane as this, and sometimes gets a little, dangerously insane. After an incident about 2 weeks ago. Now, what team was Fenerbahce playing again?
It was Trabzonspor when the pitch invasion happened.
They had a pitch invasion. Ultras got their ass kicked initially until they overwhelmed, and the players whipped their ass. That's the thing. You Ultras think it's tough. You're going up against a professional athlete 1-on-1. You're not walking away. Not with that help. So this incident happened. The Fenerbahce threatened to leave the Turkish Super League, which they can do. That's completely alien to other American fans, which they can do. And in protest for this Super Cup, they sent their under-19 side out there. They dropped a goal within the first minute and forfeited a cup. This is walking away from a championship to your greatest rival. Me and you were shocked because we were just there to see a derby. We didn't know all the, me and you we don't watch a lot of Turkish news, but apparently, like, we were noticing there's not a lot of people in the stands. What's going on here? Maybe it's an economic thing, or there's hard times in Turkey. And it turns out this was a protest. What do you think of that? I mean, it looks circus-like to me, but at the same time, if what do you do if your players are in danger, or are they overreacting to this? I don't know.
Well, I think it's a fantastic way from Fenerbahce's perspective to get eyes and ears on this. This is the talk of the town, right? Everyone, there's so many people would have at least seen this or seen the articles talking about it or seen clips about it afterwards. This is a huge statement to say, look, we're not just making empty threats here. We're not going to allow you to just sort of forget about this in a while. We are seriously unhappy with things like player protection in this league, and we're unhappy with the way that they punished Trabzonspor, and then were allowed Trabzonspor appealed and had it dropped by 2 games as well. The fan ban. So this is a great way for Fenerbahce to kick off. And yeah, I can see it being circus-like because, this is a final where the teams put out their young team, not even the first players, and then walked off. But, that's probably part of Fenerbahce's strategy, right? It makes the league look worse. It hurts them financially. It makes a huge statement and gets a lot of eyes and ears on it.
Yeah, I really didn't get a chance to see some of the pundits, like the ESPN FC, which is the most content I take in as far as like world football is concerned. I didn't really get their take on it. I probably should have. But I'm cross. I'm cross between, because the club actually went into a vote to leave the Super League, and it was a resounding no. They're staying in the Super League. But I guess this was the president's kind of, I don't know if this is the last move or not, to forfeit a match. And it makes it look very Bush League. I don't know if you're familiar with that expression. It makes it look awful. But I if my players were in trouble, if their lives were threatened, I'd do just about anything. I wouldn't care how people thought if it was Bush or not. Perfect. But it was really like, our reaction was like, it was funny on the watch along. It's a short video. You can go check it out right here.
I feel like you can't celebrate, right? If you're a Galatasaray player.
No, I don't think you're classless. They're walking off. They're walking off, everyone. Ladies and gentlemen, they're walking off the field.
Fenerbahce walking off the field now.
And I think it's because of player safety, if I had to guess. The Galatasaray players were clapping as if it improved, well, not in shame or anything like that, not even sarcastically, as the Fenerbahce players walked off.
You missed this.
And that's it. Fenerbahce has forfeited the match. And Galatasaray are the champions by forfeit. I've never seen anything like this. And then let's finish up with some goofy stuff. Out of context football, real good one to find. Oh man, was that a concert?
Do you reckon?
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe
it's
it was
some interesting work
movie
from the groundsman.
How do you replace that? Like what do they do? Is it just is there any way to like put grass in there or something, or is that thing kind of fucked?
Oh, most pitches are probably fake grass, so they'll probably just put new turf on, I'd assume.
In Europe? In the stadium, like that's fake grass?
Yeah, but it's not fake grass as such, but they have like turf to put on. They like replace it with new grass, I suppose.
Well, the States has straight fake grass. I know some of the like if I'm not mistaken, the Sounders they have straight up for, you can see it on the TV. It's so green, it's not believable. But well, that's pretty funny, and I think that's what we got, man. I guess the only thing I can think of, Old Firm, Derby, big tie over there. Scotland going right down to the wire. That'd be interesting. And that kind of, I guess, it leads me to a conversation. I really wonder, and I wonder if we're going to go back and pull this tape sometime next year with the Champions League changing next year, and there's no ability to drop down. Once you're eliminated, you're eliminated. I really wonder what it's going to be like for countries like Scotland that have one entrance into the Champions League and one qualifier in the Champions League. I really wonder if teams like this are going to just get eliminated. I've heard before that the path to the Super League is the change that UEFA is making now. And I've also heard that that's the reason they're making it, to keep the Super League from happening. Do you worry about that? Can Celtic finish in mid-table? Because they're not finished at the top of the table next year in Champions League. If they were, and War Rangers for that matter, hurts my feelings. I love Celtic. I love the Old Firm. It's still one of my favorite football games to watch. How do you think that goes? Or is there just plenty of space for them?
I mean, they're obviously got a lot of space to get in. It's a tough one because, yeah, a team on a low budget like the Scottish teams, they're not going to be able to compete financially with a lot of teams in Europe like they do now. But you never know; they might have a good year. You had
It
the Ange
happened.
Postecoglou a year before, where they looked really competitive against teams like Real Madrid.
Mhm.
So maybe their fortune's a bit better, and in this league format, it's maybe better for them to get through to the next rounds rather than being in a group where you have to play Real Madrid twice.
Yeah. But you
They
could always
lose
drop
twice, but
down.
they look good.
But you could always drop down
Yeah,
and go to the other league.
there is always that.
If you get these teams that are situations like I guess a Belgium or Portugal or Scotland, and they're getting just diced every point, is it time to say maybe your first spot is an entry to Europa and not Champions League, or maybe a qualification for Europa to drop down to a qualification for Champions League to drop down to Europa, because you do have to have a certain quality to be able to get into these European leagues, don't you think? And if they just don't, not quality, that's the wrong thing. I apologize. Not quality. You need a certain budget, and some of these teams just simply don't have them. Is that something to think about maybe in the future if they go 10 years without qualifying? Yet Celtic wins the league every year. Is a solution to then maybe really start thinking about working your way into the Prem? What do you think about that?
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe you change it so that they have qualifiers to get into the Champions League against other teams of similar quality. So maybe they can drop into the Europa League that way. I don't know. It is a tough one because they certainly are going to suffer from being unable to get into the Europa League.
Yeah.
Because certainly if you
Because that's their level.
now,
That's their level.
Yeah.
That's their level. You know,
realistically, yeah.
You know, it's Champions
But
League is
then-
not their level. You know.
But then it's going to be hard to sell people by saying, look, we're going to get rid of the Champions League position and we're just going to go straight into Europa League, because they're going to be livid because they're like, we should be allowed to play in the Champions League, right? It's a tough situation.
Yeah, I mean, the Belgium doesn't have an automatic entrance to Champions, do they? I don't think they do. I think it's Europa. If I'm not mistaken, I'd have to double check that. To be honest with you, but I don't think they have I don't think they have a route other than qualification to go to Champions. I don't think there's a direct promotion in there. I could be wrong.
I don't know. I think theirs must be the same as Scotland.
Yeah,
I think so.
Well,
Because you
they have
often
a
see
split
Anderlecht and
too. They have a
Bruges.
split too. They split three ways. They split for the top for the championship. That might go to the Champions League. They also split the middle, and that's like a Euro. That's like a Europa qualification opportunity where they pretty much play all summer until they get there, and then everybody else plays for relegation, or to avoid relegation. So yeah, I don't know. I mean, I guess I'd really like to see Celtic win and not wait 20 years, not do a sort of Copa del Rey situation with like a Bilbao, where it took 40 years with a great club like this and with a great tradition, sort of like, oh wow, they won something after 40 years after kind of a fluke. Almost a fluke needs to happen if there's no Barca. I mean, I want to see teams compete on their level. Yeah, it's a miracle when a team runs deep or something like that. But I mean, look at Saarbrücken. You know, I mean, they got it didn't last. You know, I mean, this third league team, it was a real nice run. They have nothing to be ashamed about. But I don't know. I'd like to see Celtic be able to compete. The Europa Championships is a great championship. It means you're the best at that sort of financial level, for lack of a better word. That's it. That's Glory Hunters. That's the podcast. I hope we got a lot of good clips for you. This is Glory Hunter Nick. Wait a minute. This is Glory Hunter. This is Glory Hunter Nick. I hope you enjoy our podcast. We're doing watch-alongs. Keep an eye out for Monterey watch-along to see if I get Biscuit Bash here. I also want to thank our buddy Optic, who came up with our little characters here. I think they're very cool, and they're size appropriate too. I'm just slightly taller than them, so.
I had to bring it up, didn't you?
Yeah, I did. I totally did. It was funny. It's funny. Well, the first one we did, the guy was like 6'5", so I mean, I was least honest. I'm not as tall as that. But thank you very much, everybody. I hope you enjoyed our podcast and our clips and everything we produce. Join the Discord. Hang out with us. People stream games in there. They talk the game. If you're new, you're totally welcome. You won't be new long. And we'll see you real soon. Take care.